Hello.
Good afternoon, Jason.
Hi, Jennifer.
How are you?
Doing all right? Just trying to make sure this all goes smoothly. So we'll see how it goes.
It's a Zoom meeting. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah. So I've got a rough plan here, but planned start at 3:30 like we had. I think there's a few up to 4 people outside of the board we're planning to attend. So yeah, get to go talk about some of the different things that have happened recently and longer term. Have you seen more of the same behaviors you'd been observed, or has it shifted at all since your email?
It's actually getting a little bit worse. Monday of this week, the trash was literally screwed all outside of the dumpster and stuff like that. So,
And you're
I mean,
talking about the main dumpster kind of in the center of the complex as you go
no,
down.
I'm talking about the one back here by me. I'm in the back by 505. I'm right behind Dairy Queen.
Gotcha.
Not only that, but my neighbor's house was tagged with spray paint
Okay.
from the homeless.
Which number is that?
They are in, I want to say that they are in 501.
Okay.
Because I'm in 505. 503 is to the left of me when I'm looking at my car. So I think they're in 501.
Okay.
We also have the other thing that we found out while we were looking at the tagging that they have been doing over the past week now is there's a homeless camp that is set up between our area and the, I guess, trucking depot that's next door to us.
Okay. Tell you what, let me share screen, make sure we're talking about the same spots here. 1 second. All right, so okay, so are you talking about, okay, back in here? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, where I'm talking about is you see where the dumpster is at the top of your screen towards our community? I'm back here.
Oh,
No.
so right here.
Yeah,
Here.
I'm right here, okay? That is the dumpster that is being loved to be raided by the basically the homeless people. Well, the final one in this little 4 section right here, because like I'm in 505, so that would be, I believe, 501.
Yeah, I actually made a little map just today to make sure we had everything straight. So yeah, 501 would be right there.
So the whole back side of that where it sits next to that wooded area right there is literally graffitied up. And inside this little wooded area, there's actually homeless tents set up into there.
So basically you're saying this area has spray paint, and then in relation.
No, go to the north of that.
Okay. Up in here?
Yes.
Okay. So that's right. I know that this, I've seen spray painting up in here, and I've seen stuff sitting around up here. There's not a ton of space there. So when you say, you mean in this area right there or somewhere else further away?
So that area right there, there are 2 tents that are actually up, and it's a lot more wooded than what it appears right here on the screen. This must have been
this is pretty old.
Back in like the fall type area when there was no leaves. But the foliage right throughout that area is really thick. And yes, there are 2 tents set up there. And then if you go to if you take your mouse and go from the northeast of the dumpster, right in that little wooded area.
In here?
Yep. And there's more homeless camps set up right in there.
Okay, so you're saying there's some there. and some right in there. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Okay, so that's being an actual camp set up there permanently. I've seen stuff there. We actually, I'm not sure, that might be relatively a new development.
I mean, they haven't been, like I've said in emails, I bought this place at the end of May.
Right.
So they weren't there when I moved in.
Uh-huh. With
So
coronavirus, there's a lot of people, yeah, kind of
yeah.
desperate for different things. So, okay, cool.
And
So
I know like my neighbors and stuff like that that are in 501 because I work for IU and they work for IU as well.
uh-huh.
Their biggest concern is we do get a lot of deer, and if you guys take out a lot of that vegetation, it might take out the deer population that we have. But I'm more concerned with our safety at this point in time because these aren't your typical, they don't bother you homeless people. These are the ones that will go out of their way they're aggressive.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, what we can do, we'll talk more about like what options we have. It is interesting to me that you're reporting up here because as I understand it, down here, so our kind of where we have jurisdiction to do things can vary a little bit. As I understand it, basically our property line comes something like this, and there's
Oh, wow.
actually like a community in the woods back in here that might be more extensive. I haven't gone there in a while. I have been in that general area from time to time and usually would see some stuff, but so this is something, the problem with this though is this is totally off of our land, so we don't have any kind of,
Right.
nothing we can do whatsoever.
Right. And if you scroll back up towards that northeast sector, you see where that large parking lot is, right here
Oh, this
behind the
one?
dumpster.
Yeah.
You see those tree lines that are right in through there.
Yep.
I know that my neighbor who used to live in 503 that just moved out last weekend, he said he actually was attacked by somebody in
In here.
that's in one of those camps inside there.
Okay. Well,
So,
yeah.
but this one here, I can tell you that there's like a little fence line that goes up in that box that you just drew.
Yeah.
They are actually on our side of the fence.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, that, like I said, I've seen evidence of things there, but I didn't see any actual camps. But that's very possibly something that has happened just recently, like I mentioned, because I often will
Right.
walk. I'm just down the hill here. I usually come up and I walk through here to go to Dairy Queen, in a non-pandemic situation. So I've
Well, that's
yeah.
kind of nice to know that there's a way to actually get to Dairy Queen now from our area, because I've been like, God, I'd love to have a blizzard right about now.
Yeah.
But I've just not been, especially with seeing how many homeless people are out there, I've just not wanted to kind of take that
Yeah.
chance of walking through that heavy shrubs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and during daylight there's pretty good visibility, but I mean I'm curious enough and I feel safe enough just walking around. I'll probably go after the meeting, probably just go walk around and see what I can see. But yeah, I think the stuff in this range, I'll have to double check on the property line, but I think these two yellow boxes, if there's actual camp set up in there, I think that's something that we can do something about. So we'll see. And then in the meeting, I have some time slated that's pretty much open for discussion. So when we have everyone here, we might have maybe other residents that can offer insight of what's going on or when they noticed a change, that kind of thing. So cool.
I can tell you, I can't remember, but you see the townhomes that are basically to the right of the dumpster, basically right behind that wooded area. Okay, yeah, you got your mouse on it. You got your mouse on it right there.
Yeah.
I know that she's scared in the mornings because I'm up all times of day and night and stuff, and will sit on my porch. But I know that she gets scared in the mornings because of that little brush that sits right around that telephone pole, because of, you know, people like to literally hide in there.
Which pole are you talking about? Do you know how to use the annotate? You should be able to draw on my screen if you are familiar with it.
Well, well, it won't let me sit there and do it.
If you're at a computer, it's annotate. Sometimes it's hidden in the menu depending on how large your screen size is. Right next to the share screen, there's a pause share and then annotate.
Oh, I see the annotate. So basically, right here is a large brush area.
Okay.
And the homeless like to come out of this brush area, and they'll get physically aggressive. So the person who lives in this one right here, she's afraid to even take her trash out in the mornings and stuff like that. And she won't take her trash out unless she has somebody with her or sees me sitting out there, because of just the sheer amount of the homeless that are basically living in the dumpster.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize there was that much vegetation that you could actually hide in there. I'll have to go take a look.
It is really overgrown.
Okay.
It goes almost to the top of the post.
Okay. Gotcha. And I'll keep on trying to do
Sorry,
things.
I feel like I'm like the reporting neighbor here.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the thing is, this is a, you know, our association is all volunteer. Like, there's not, you know, we're not paid to do anything. So if we get any kind of input at all from the community, it's valuable, because no one's, you know, getting paid to do it. And we have, as you'll see whenever we go over our budget, we have a limited amount of funds and a lot of very significant and very expensive projects that have been going on. And so we don't have the budget to go and do a lot of things that we would, you know, love to do. And so whenever we are made aware of issues, that gives us something to try to, you know, move into our plan and try to see what options we have. And sometimes we have more options than others, right? So like what you're talking about up here, I think we can probably take some action on. You know, this stuff here that's off the property but still disruptive, you know, our hands are kind of tied. And yeah, we have so tempo.
My biggest concern is, like I said, is you got the 2 homeless tents basically in this area here.
Yep.
And I know of at least 2 that are in that area, and then they basically swarm this dumpster and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But this, you know, the whole side of this one right here has been graffitied on every day this week.
Okay. And so someone's been monitoring it and they've seen something new
every day. Yeah. Okay. And May, who owns that property, because she rents it, that is a rental. May owns this one here, which is 501, 503, and then she also owns 507. So she was actually trying to buy mine, but I got my bid in first.
Gotcha.
But she said that she had mentioned it to the HOA and nothing had been done yet.
Okay. I wonder, do you know when that was?
I know that it had to have been Monday when we were all out there, and, you know, the tenants that live in there and stuff were like, you know, when are they going to come out and remove this spray paint? And she goes, well, I sent a message to the HOA. And then Tuesday they looked at me and they said, well, obviously they're wanting to be colorful, because now we have other markings on here that weren't on here.
Okay.
Literally, they looked at me yesterday and they're like, you know, this was a safe community. Now we're being tagged like, you know, we're living in some sort of ghetto land.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no good. Let's see here. Okay. Gotcha. And you said there's a one owner. What did you say their name was for those you?
The owner that owns that one, her first name is May. It's Mae,
MAE. Okay.
and she owns 503 and 507.
And not 501?
No. Oh, she owns 501, 503, and 507.
Okay.
She owns all three of those.
And she
And
rents
those
each of
are
them?
their renters inside there.
Okay. Gotcha. And she contacted, presumably, so whenever you say she
sent a
contacted,
text message.
so when you say she contacted the HOA, what probably she meant was she contacted our property management company, which is Tempo.
Right.
And the owner of Tempo, Dave, is actually joining us for this meeting. So he can probably follow up on that. But as far as you know, they reached out to Tempo when?
Probably Monday, if I had to
Okay.
guess. I don't have their phone number. I'd give them a call right now and say, hey, when did May reach out? Because I know it was Monday when we were all out there talking.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, well, I think that's something Dave will be able to let us know too, and figure out what the plan is. Yeah.
I love the community though around here. It's so much better than what I came from.
That's good. That's good to hear. Yeah, it's yeah, there's a lot of nice aspects of the area in general, and with the new bike path going in and Switchyard Park, I think property values may be going up directly related to those particular things. So
I hope so.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Units used to be, when I moved in 2009, they were in the usually 60, 70 range. They're pretty stable there for a while, but yeah, there's been a few units that have gone up over 110 or have been listed up there lately. But it's, yeah, the last few years things have gone up in terms of property value, which was encouraging. But yeah.
Have we ever thought about, or is there like because one of the things that I did up in the community that I lived in up in Indianapolis is we had a community policing, kind of like a community watch group that would be able to help with something to try to, keep our city, keep our streets safe in our little.
So there's Next Door. Are you familiar with that?
Okay.
Have you heard of Next Door?
No.
Okay, so let's see. I don't know if I'm signed in. I'll bring it up on my screen share here. So there is this Next Door. It's it's basically a online forum that it's a free to join. And I know one of our board members, Michelle, she's been encouraging people to get on there to report things about what's going on. I know it was useful. There was a string of bike thefts, but it wasn't just in our community. It was actually all across Bloomington for a few weeks, and I had a couple bikes stolen.
Oh, wow.
But it wasn't, as far as I know, it wasn't specific to this community. But it was more like maybe someone was going around and it was just kind of a strike all over the city. So things like that where if you know what's going on in the area, that can be useful, or reporting things. So in terms of a neighborhood watch, the other thing that's one thing that we can bring up. We've been trying to organize town hall events where we open it up to all tenants and owners alike, so that there can be just kind of a community forum to hear what people are concerned about, what people are interested in, any efforts to improve the community. And certainly something like that would be an excellent thing if people wanted to volunteer and someone wanted to lead that, because that's the other thing, right? Like getting people involved, someone needs to take the time to organize that. And so if that's something you're interested in assisting with, particularly since you're an owner that's living in the area, some of the board members are renting currently, so that's definitely something that could be explored. The trick again is getting engagement, trying to get people involved. And in general, right, if someone there are definitely plenty of owners that are just rent their units and aren't necessarily wanting to get involved with you know, the community, and so it's you know, trying to figure out what will motivate people and what people are interested in along the way. So it's
But that,
tricky,
yeah,
but you know, if we certainly aren't trying to stop anything like that from happening, and if there's efforts and people that want to do it, that would be great.
yeah, I'll definitely, if you guys are willing to let me take that on, you know, sit there and at least try to start to get it set up and stuff like that with, you know, we could even do, you know, flyers with, you know, meetings and stuff like that. But, you know, it should be, you know, owners and tenants alike, you know,
Yeah,
if they're
yeah,
renters and stuff, they're obviously living here. So everybody should, you know,
yep,
want to put forward that foot to make the community great.
right, right. Yeah, and there's yeah, I love that idea. I love things that are going to improve the community. One of our board members, Joel, I messaged him earlier. He had said,
I've actually, I get the pleasure of meeting him and one of his little boys the other day and
okay,
stuff like that. He
oh
was
good,
walking, they were walking to Dairy Queen and he's like, how are you? And I said, I'm doing good. How are you? And he goes, are you new around here? And I said, since the end of May. And he goes, what's your name? He goes, we've been communicating via email.
yeah, very good, excellent. Yeah, Joel's great. He's had a lot of ideas that we've been able to put into practice. The town hall is one of them. The benches that were installed just this year, and also the community gardens. Those were all things that he had.
Now, where are the community gardens at?
Oh, so they are, so where my mouse is,
Okay.
they're down in here. Yep,
Okay.
yep, yep. Actually, I could just about grab my webcam and point out the window. You can see it from my backyard. All right. Well, hopefully, yeah, getting closer to 3:30. Most people don't show up usually until the actual time or a little bit late. So I was planning about the first 10 minutes for people to be introduced as they're showing up. So I'll take off my screen share for now. So when people get in, we'll be able to see everybody. So with the neighborhood watch you mentioned up in Indianapolis, um, was there like designated like times when people were doing things, or was it more just like a central communication so that something out of the ordinary or problematic was occurring that everyone could be notified, or what kind
Well,
of format?
one of the things that we had done is we started up because I lived in like a rough area of Indianapolis. So one of the immediate things that we had started was we did biweekly meetings with anybody from the community who wanted to come would come. It was completely, everything was 100% volunteer. And then what we had done is, because no matter what city I've ever lived in, I've always made really good friends with the police departments. And like living here, we're within both IU jurisdiction and we're within BPD in Monroe County. So I know plenty enough people with all three departments that, you know, I could help bring those in to be able to help us with doing, you know, community policing around here to help make sure that, you know, we don't have the crime, we can clear out drugs that may be going on or other things like that, to really making the community safe, secure for everybody living here. And what we typically did and stuff like that is, you know, depending on, we had people working all shifts of the day and the night, and mostly during the evening, we would always look for, you know, groups of people that would be willing to get together and maybe, you know, take an hour stroll through a neighborhood. You know, maybe it was, you know, at that point in time, the area that I lived in, you know, there were 15 square blocks. So we tried to divide the area up between all 15 of the blocks. Between, at that point in time, we had 150 members.
Gotcha.
So it was really easy to sit there and say, would you be able to do, 7 to 8 p.m. on Monday?
Yeah.
And then do, another group of people and stuff like that, 8 to whatever. And, it really worked out because a lot of people were even able to sit there and, do an hour before they went and started their third shift, or an hour after they got off of their shift. And
Gotcha. Yeah.
we, once it took about a year to fully get the neighborhood to where we wanted it. But once people saw that we had a presence, that made a total difference.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So how many people would you say you said how many, you said 15 blocks?
We had 15 square blocks.
Square blocks. Okay. That's pretty large area.
Right.
Yeah. And how many people would you say in total?
We had, when I left the community and moved down here to Bloomington, we had close to 225 members. Because it was, I'm not gonna lie or pull wool over anybody's eyes. We started with 10.
Yeah.
And then, by the second meeting, we had 25. By the third meeting, this is already, 6 weeks into it, we had 40. And then, it grew to, the 225 when I left.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of how well things would scale at our size. So, well, yeah, I love the idea of giving it a shot. I think there is definitely this aspect of getting to a critical mass where people see the value and it sustains, and then it really becomes powerful. So I'd love to see that. Love to see that work. Let's see here. Okay, so it is 3:30 now. So I will briefly show what the agenda I have for the meeting is, and then we can get started. So basically, what I want to do is just give a brief chance for people to introduce themselves. And then after we kind of collect for a few minutes, hopefully we get everyone to join that's planning to attend. Then we'll start by just going over kind of recent things that we've decided as a board. Look at a longer range plan for what we have in store for the community, and our schedule for basically monthly fees in the rising areas and in the near future. And then we will talk about some of the concerns that people off of the board have mentioned, and we'll have a chance to go over that and discuss it a little bit. And then we have some upcoming plans and some open time for discussion towards the end. So I'll take the screen share off for now, and then yeah, just give everyone a chance to introduce themselves. So my name's Jason Yoder. I've been here since 2009. I started being a member of the board just kind of in general for a number of years. And then most of the people that were in the primary leadership positions kind of drifted out, either aren't living in the area. And so I offered to fill in as president to try to help get things continuing in a good direction. And yeah, I'm a professor at Rose Holman. So I'm here during the week, or during the weekends, but during the school year, I tend to work in Terre Haute. And my wife, Katie, is also in this, and she's also on the board. So yeah, that's me. Maybe I'll let Dave go next, since we only have him here in the first hour.
Sure, yeah. My name's Dave Thornberry. I own Temple Properties. I've been managing for y'all for several years. I believe we started late 2012. I've got an office over off of 3rd and Rogers, and normally everybody's always welcome, but COVID kind of has everybody separated at this point.
Cool. I see people in different orders probably than everyone else, so I'll just tell people, Joel, you're up.
Hey, I'm on the board. I've been here since 2017. Worked down at Crane. Kind of a big fan of community stuff, but also I value the long-term investments too. So my big pushes or my priorities are the privacy. You want to try to get to kind of a no trespassing thing, and try to deal with a lot of the transient issues that we've had recently. So that's kind of where I'm at. Planning to move next summer, so I'm here for about another 11 months.
Joel, you can't leave. Ian?
Hey everybody, I'm Ian. Sorry I don't have a visual up. I will for the town hall have my webcam on. I bought in 2018. Became a member of the board soon after that. I work full time at IU in the IT department, and I've got my real estate license, so I'm been trying to get that going as well. Yeah, I guess something that's been really interesting me here in the recent past has been seeing the sale prices in Timber Ridge just kind of continue to climb. So I bought my unit just for $80,000, and I've seen a couple here in the last year or so sell for around the 120 area. So just wanted to highlight that and introduce myself that way. Thanks all.
Michelle?
Hi, I've been on the board, I can't even remember how long, forever. And I used to live in Timber Ridge, and then I moved to Indianapolis, and now I have 2 places there, and I'll probably be back someday. And I rent mine out to mostly grad students. And my primary reason for being on the board was because the place looked run down, and I'm trying to push to have it spruced up so it will continue to climb in value.
Oh, thanks. And Katie?
Hi, I'm Katie, Jason's wife. I've lived here in Timber Ridge for about 6 years, but I guess I've only been on the board since the beginning of this year. And yeah, just happy to get more involved with the community and learn more about everyone here.
Cool, thanks. And then Jennifer, go ahead and you can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I just bought my place back at the end of May of this year. I'm thankful that Joel and Jason have allowed me to join in on the homeowners association. I really have loved living here, even though it's only been a short period of time. And I'm hoping that, you know, some of the ideas and different things that I've participated in past associations, I can possibly bring that to the table to making sure that our home values don't go down due to the vagrant issues.
Cool, thanks. All right, so, and normally, so I thought Michael was going to be able to attend, but he hasn't joined so far. He usually takes minutes for us. Does anybody at a computer that could take minutes for us?
I can take minutes. I'm not, you know, fully briefed on exactly how to do that, but just kind of keep a timetable of who talks and when.
Just summarize the key takeaways. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just so we have things. I think the biggest thing would be if we do vote or make any decisions, just so it's documented. So.
All right, got it.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Ian. And then if I could, yeah, I'll time keep it myself. We should be all right. I think we're gonna have plenty of time. I had expected a few more people to join the meeting, but there's no way to know for sure if they will come or not. So I think with that, we'll go ahead and just get started so we can stay on track. So first thing we usually do is just briefly go over previous minutes from our last meeting and then review if we need to add anything to the agenda. So, and I will share screen from our last meeting. So we discussed the projected roofing work costs that have been going higher than original estimations. There's some structural issues in 569, cracks in the foundation. I'm not sure if we have an update on that yet or not. This meeting was just here not too long ago, so I'm not sure that we will have one. We discussed at length some options about raising dues either through a one-time assessment or through raising the annual fees. And it was a strong siding on not doing a one-time assessment, but instead to raise the dues. We have dues now that are relatively low compared to a number of similar developments in town. And so we think that it's better to raise the dues, and we actually voted that we will raise them in 2021, which we're still to be determined exactly how much. And we'll be talking about a long-range plan and looking at trying to calculate the appropriate measure later in this meeting. In terms of the deck maintenance and replacement, we have looked into that a little bit since then. One thing that we can talk about here shortly will be the idea of just replacing the actual deck boards that you walk on so that people don't get splinters without needing to require replacing the entire thing. And we discussed maybe picking the 5 worst decks to replace as an option, but there's some different ways we can approach that. So yeah, otherwise we were looking on, yeah, Dave had some estimates for me on deck work. Michael Bros, I think it's somewhat redundant since Dave had an estimate for me. Ian's done some planning on the town hall, and we had plans to start drafting a letter for notifying homeowners of the dues and why and all of that. So that was our minutes from the last meeting. So Ian, if you want an idea of the depth or extent of them, that doesn't have to be much. It can be something like that. So does anyone that was at that meeting have anything they want to add to that, or any changes we need to make? Okay. Well, in that case, then I guess I could have someone motion to approve, or I'll just motion that we approve the minutes. So all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
All right. So that sounds good. All right. So that is that first step. So then really want to make sure we have plenty of time for Dave to go over some things. But I will give at least a brief check. While we have Dave, he's going to be here in our first hour only, and then he has another meeting he has to go to. But what I'm planning to do, as long as Dave is here, is go over the budget, talk about the long-range plan, discuss dues, discussion about raising dues. And then there's some issues. Jennifer raised concerns about dumpster, spray painting, and also some parking in marked parking spots. And then there was a request. I'm not sure if they'll be able to attend. Someone was making a request for an additional dog waste post. So we can talk about those briefly. But those are the main things I'm wanting to accomplish here in the first hour while Dave is present. Is there anything that someone would really like to get an update on? Dave, I can pencil it in here before he has to head out. Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started, and I'm going to turn off my screen share and let Dave go ahead and give us a overview of the budget and kind of where we stand this year so far.
All right. Did that screen share work for you?
Yep, that's good.
All right. So this is a very typical report that the board sees on a monthly basis. I can create this whenever. This report is through the end of June. So the July books are not closed out yet. We're just receiving bank account statements. So we reconcile all that. So I only want to show you books that we've closed out. Far left column are your GL or account names. So you'll have your income at top, your expenses as we go down. I'm going to go through these line by line. YTD actual, year-to-date budget, what the variance is, and then the annual budget. So that's what we want to look at while we're going through this report. So let's start with income. These top are several GLs are pretty insignificant. So I'm just going to cruise by those. I'm going to get down to the two main pieces here. So as of the end of June, you anticipated collecting per the budget 106,000. You've collected 78,000. That gap is entirely accounting for your insurance. That's all that is. It's a timing thing. So in June in June we paid and billed for the insurance, and we've collected all but 2,000 of that so far. So just know that this isn't representative of having a huge deficit or having a big problem. All this is timing as far as when you bill and when you expected to receive it. So you guys are looking really good. As you can see on homeowner dues here, you're $1,000 in the arrears. That's not untypical for anybody, for a Timber Ridge accounting and arrears report. You've got a few that just pay a month behind. There's no issue there. There are a few that are being processed through legal, but really it's a drop in the bucket as far as being able to fund the other things you want to fund with income. Let's drop down to expenses. I'm going to go down to landscaping when we start hitting some of the main items here. You can see your favorable $3,300 year to date. You're not going to be that favorable at the end of the year. This is a timing issue with your vendor billing us is all that is. So expect to pay $6,000 to $6,000. Grounds care contract, we've had to do a lot more rounds this year to date than we have. There's been a ton of traffic. I don't know if, I'm guessing a lot of that is indicative of COVID, right? More people are stuck at home. So more people are walking around kind of littering. We're getting a lot of calls for blowing trash. I know we're going to get to some pieces of that, but we're just being called out a lot more on top of what we normally get out there for. So that I'm generally, that swings back seasonally also. So it's very heavy in the summer, and it generally is slower in late fall, winter, and early spring. So I think you'll be able to close that gap as we find the year coming to a close. I want to jump down to leaf removal. That's typically a fall thing, of course. We have a little bit of spring cleanup, but that's categorized somewhere else. So you will be paying that at the end of the year here when all the leaves come down. Weed control, we've done more than 300, but that's all that's been billed. So you will be paying, what you expect to on the year end. So again, this is just your year-to-date budget. What we expected at this time this year. If you follow over to the right as I go, you can see the entire annual budget. So that's going to show you the gap of what we expected to pay so far and what we have, and then what we expect to pay by the end of the year. So overall in total landscaping, you're $5,000 favorable, but really that favorability is mostly due to some vendors just haven't billed you. That's pretty typical for some of the vendors in Bloomington. Pretty small town, a lot of hand-to-mouth vendors, landscaping, and we see that a lot. So again, it's some favorability, but I expect that to get closer to our budgeted amount towards the end of the year. Property insurance, this is all timing. So we've made one of two payments.
Hey, Dave, I lost the screen here. Maybe it's just me.
I can still see it.
Oh, I must have done something wrong.
Anybody
Yeah,
else?
I see it too.
Okay.
Do you want me to try something on my end, or are we looking all right?
I think you're okay. I think something just happened on Joel's.
Oh, okay. Okay. So property insurance, this is just timing. You can see over on the right, we plan to pay a little over $30,000 in insurance. We've billed and paid one of two. So you can see that we've paid $14,000. Generally, we pay that every year in July. This is a June report. Again, it's just timing, nothing to worry about here. We're still on track for what we anticipated on paying for insurance, and we've already billed that out, of course, and collected most of it. Legal fees, accounting. Accounting is going to be your taxes at the end of the year, 1099s, things like that. Security service, I just got a bill in that's been back billed for several weeks, so you'll see that catch up. Again, you have had the off-duty police out there. They're out there 2 nights a week, generally Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, 2 of those days. Generally in the evening. We do give them flexibility. There's a lot of history there we can get into later if you'd like. But the total professional fees, you're showing high favorability, but you're going to close that out by spending what you anticipated on spending at the end of the year. Again, it's just a billing issue, not only in when we have budgeted to pay it, but also waiting to receive some of those invoices from your vendors, in this case, off-duty policemen. Management fees, violation, monitor rounds, you're on track there. This budget was not taking into consideration the raise that I got. Thank you again. But you're on track there. I mean, I don't manage with a lot of spin-off fees, as you know. It's not like, you budget $11,000 and it comes in 13, 14, 15. That's not how I do that. So you're on track there. Repairs and maintenance, gutter cleaning, you've spent half of what you've anticipated spending. There's more of that came in July, I know. So you're going to get closer to that amount of $1,000 spend, which is what you've anticipated so far. Some of these other things, snow removal is a big fat zero. And I just think that your vendor didn't bill you for early in the year salting, but that's okay. I'm not going to say anything to him. And hope that you don't get billed so you can keep within that kind of range of where you want to be. General repairs, you can see you have a spend of $10,000, anticipated $12,800 at this point, so you're favorable about $2,700. Power washing, we're kind of getting lined out. Again, this year you've got $1,000 spend on that, so we just haven't spent it. And so total repairs and maintenance, a spend of $10,668.13. With a year-to-date budget of $18,970.04. Again, we've noted the favorability above here. Snow removal is a big one, $3,500. And then your general repairs, you're a little favorable. That can, again, when we start doing roofs, we're going to need any favorability we can. So it's a good thing that we're showing favorable in certain areas. Utilities, for electric, we're almost right on, right? $56.72 difference. We spent a little bit less than what we planned on, so you're a little favorable there. Trash removal, you're unfavorable, $1,100. That is solely because of bulk items. Your trash service is not overbilling or anything like that. So, and I know that's a piece that we'll talk about later. So I want to give the numbers now. We can go over the rest later. Admin, there's really not much here, you guys, so I'm going to skip it. It's just bank fees and postage and delivery and things like that. Want to drop down to capital improvements. So you've got, let me bump it up just a little bit here. Two categories here. I'm going to actually have this one drop down, but the miscellaneous is your, there, they just added that. Okay, I'm going to drop that down. That's your concrete upgrades. So the 13,507 and the 13,925, those are actually 2019 projects that didn't get finished and billed until early 2020. That's all they are. So when you see these and you see a zero for budgeting, just know that these items, another zero here, were budgeted last year. Weather and a million other things push these projects into doing the final finishes early 2020, and we don't get a bill until the project's done. So when we got the bill, paid the bill, and they landed on these books. So please just know that's not some weird unfavorability push that the board or I decided to do in 2020. It's 2019 project. And so that's really the story there. That's a big piece that needs kind of an asterisk by it. So overall, I mean, you guys are doing well. There's a little unfavorability in areas. I think we're going to catch up on it. Areas like, picking up some blowing trash and things like that. There's some timing issues, but just know that I watch your budget to make sure we don't have any, large items coming that we didn't expect. The biggest thing, just like last year and the year before, is going to be some structural repairs that surround the roof replacements. And so we hope for any favorability we can get and move forward that way. Any specific questions on this? I mean, I kind of went through it fast, but I only want to, there's a lot of nuances here, running the books. We look at them all the time. We're constantly paying bills and checking work. And, I know when there are things on here that may look favorable now that we think are going to even out, or that may look unfavorable that are going to even out the other way. So I'm looking at these, the items that you're spending money on, and it's pretty typical from years past at this point. I don't see anything too crazy on here. And the biggest decisions you all have to make are kind of how to spend on capital improvement, which I know is a big portion of this meeting. And that's kind of the question mark and, you know, kind of fun part about being on the board actually is it's an easy way to help the community out. Any questions?
No, it sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. All right. So, yeah, Dave, if you want, since I see you have the long range plan up there anyway.
Yeah, want me to grab it?
Yeah, you can just go over and we can do that. Look at that together. So this is a plan that started with Frank Dixon for trying to get control of how are we going to pay for roofs. And this is very much an evolving document. I'm still trying to play with some numbers and estimate costs in a way that we can try to make an informed decision about how much we need to raise dues at what rate to pay for things. But maybe Dave, if you want to just go over maybe the general categories of some of the different things that have to be done and kind of the, you know,
Sure.
that might be good. And then we can start to look at more concrete numbers, but maybe just give people an idea of what all is involved in what we've been looking at doing.
Yeah, so this is a difficult document to go over in general, but it's a difficult document to go over on just a small computer screen. It's really something that's best done like at a conference table with a big TV. So please bear with me. I'm going to do my best to kind of run through it. I've zoomed this in or out a little bit. Would you guys prefer it be 100 and I just move it around, or does it matter?
Yeah, that's fine, Dave.
Okay. So this is a very basic long-range plan. I mean, to give you a 30-second background on long-range plans, I mean, you do the best you can to anticipate, upcoming capital expenses, roofs, siding, things we know are going to come up. They're big ticket items, and we know about when they're going to come up, right? A normal roof lasts 25 to 30 years, et cetera. So we try to get everything down, see what our contribution table looks like. Do we need to increase it? Where can we spend money more or less, et cetera? So, so from top left to right, you know, we've got the year, I believe we started, okay, so 2016 was the first year when we started doing this. Frank kind of sat down and I helped him with filling in the boxes, but he kind of populated some of these items at the top. So basically I want to start here and kind of talk about what right now Timber Ridge considers capital improvements. Drainage upgrades, concrete upgrades, siding replacement, roofs, gutters, and dormers. We kind of lumped all those together because we're finding them when we redo a roof, we want to redo gutters, of course, to the bigger, better gutters, and then we find dormer issues there. So we've lumped them together. Renumber and restripe parking spots, sealing and striping the lots. Obviously, after you seal, you need to stripe. Resurfacing the lots, that has to do with grinding down what's there and laying new asphalt, a couple inches of new asphalt. It's one of those things where it's called alligator cracking. You just can't seal it any longer and it kind of turns into rubble. Landscaping upgrades, you've got deck replacements, and then these final columns are kind of a year-end rec, any interests that are added, yearly totals needed, annual contributions that are planned. I know that Jason's going to go over some of these other columns. I'm just trying to give you a big overall view. And then what did we, anticipate the balance being? Did we use some cash from, basically just tracking the dollars. We want every dollar to have a name on it. And then what I tried to do at the end of each year, to the best that I could, was kind of give a story, just a few sentence story on, hey, did we spend what we wanted to spend? And that this kind of goes back to these color coded boxes. As you can see, these years there was an anticipated spend. We ended up not spending it and going and applying it to somewhere that we went over. You can see roofs, gutters, dormers is an example of that, where some of that we just couldn't fund the whole thing. And then, so that's kind of a help, something I put in there to try to help us understand when we're looking back, hey, why didn't we fund this? Why did we fund it, et cetera? So that, that's kind of a real brief, basic overview. And then basically this is a great document because, Jason is probably more proficient than I am in manipulating this Google Doc, which is essentially Excel. And, there's math in this, of course, so you got to be careful in what you change and what you don't. But as you can see, it goes down year after year, so we can anticipate upcoming large projects that we know are coming up. We know we have to replace siding. We know we have to replace roofs at some point, et cetera. So it's just really a good way of kind of honing in and seeing, hey, are we going to have enough money to pay for this? And if not, how do we solve that? Another thing, since I started managing homeowners associations, no bank or lender or anything ever asked for a document like this. In 2012, 13, and 14, I rarely got asked any of this, a 10-year plan, a 30-year plan, any long-range plan. It's almost common now for people to ask, not just for balances and savings and checking, because that can be deceiving. But hey, do you have something set in stone? I've never had a problem with any lender at Timber Ridge or any other HOA I manage because, between the board and Tempo, we get to a place where lenders are satisfied in knowing that the board of managers at Timber Ridge is taking good care of ensuring, its sustainability, and we want them to be okay to lend money to those that want to buy.
Cool. Yeah, I can, so Dave has been using this document, and I've been trying to explore some of the things that we can do. And so some of the columns he wasn't involved in doing, and I've just been working on them here today. So if anything is off right now, it's probably not Dave's fault. It's probably my fault. So Dave, I'll go ahead and grab the screen share from you here.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah, I can just
While
the host.
we have that up,
Yeah.
Dave, do you know from history what we spend on whatever we do to balconies?
Well, we've never spent anything on balconies for a capital improvement. I mean, we've done small maintenance items here and there, but if it's before this, I mean, since 2012, we've never had a big sweeping capital upgrade of any balconies since I've been involved. If there's something previous to that, it may be in a box somewhere from your previous manager, but I wouldn't know.
I see. Okay.
When I talked with Dave, he was estimating that doing an entire deck replacement might be somewhere in the $2,500 to $3,500 range. But if we did just replacing the boards that you actually walk on, that could be closer to the $500 range. I actually walked around the complex earlier today to verify, and every single unit does have a deck. Some of them have high decks, and some of them have just the low decks, with the high decks being the one where there's actually a walkout underneath it. And what I did was I said, based on the number of decks and putting it at $600 a deck to be a little conservative, what the cost would be for doing all of those. And so that, that would come out to be about $60,000. If we were trying to do that one a year, that would take quite a while, cycling around. If we did it 2 buildings per year, then basically in, a 12-year cycle, we could be done with all of them. And at $5,000 a year, that seems like a pretty affordable rate to do it. So that would be what I would suggest that we look to do. Going back to the long range plan, So there's a lot of pieces here, but let me just focus on the really crucial thing. So we have, and Jennifer, for a little background, when we started replacing roofs, we discovered that really, to put it simply, it wasn't done properly the first time. And so there's been a lot of rot and a lot of damage to structural aspects of the buildings that have had to be repaired as we go. And so what would normally just be a roof cost has inflated significantly. One example of that being we had an estimate of a roof cost that would be $28,000 for this year that ended up being $39,000 once all of those other issues were taken care of. One thing that I don't have a great way to estimate, but we've been given quotes on what just the cost to do the roof replacements have been. If I inflate that amount, assuming that we have rot in every building by roughly that same 40% amount, it gets very expensive to try to get things done. And we can play with these numbers, and that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to explore right now. But if I use that 40% adjustment, which that would assume that every single roof that we open up, we have this very significant issue, which, Dave, do you have any idea of the percentage of roofs that we've replaced where we have had this, drastic, almost 50% increase in cost?
I mean, every year since PPS has started doing it, so the last 3 years we've had it. Every building we've opened up, we've had it.
Okay, so these numbers are probably not too far off. And I tried to, based on the schedule that was laid out, and this is something we could potentially, I don't know how the last time that someone looked at these roofs to assess, are these, in the order that we're planning to attempt them or not. But if I take the actual roofs that we have slated on the schedule here, this is how much we would pay, assuming that basically 40% increase, assuming rot. And if that's the case, then looking at what our contributions are, we run into the hole in terms of what we actually have in our savings. Now, this is tricky though. If it's not that case in all of them, it might not be so bad, but if it's that full amount, it actually gets pretty bad pretty quickly. We're running into the hole by 2024 in terms of what we have. And so really the only options we have on the table are extend it to a longer period of time, spend less on other things, or raise the dues. And I have this here so I can play with the numbers, and what's reasonable to estimate on those is not completely clear because we don't know for sure how many of them and how much the damage is going to be. But the issue is the longer we go without replacing them, the more likely we are to have, water issues, water damage, and other things that will just create more problems for us. So my inclination is to try to do 2 a year and do whatever we have to make that be feasible. So those costs are, primarily here, and we're getting close to the great to do siding and actually resurface the lots. Originally, the plan to resurface the lots was happening earlier, but this has been so expensive that I think what we should do is try to focus on getting the roofs, gutters, and dormers done. So every single unit has had those replaced, and then move on to resurfacing, since those combined even are going to be hopefully cheaper than this other issue. And siding, there's not, and it's not as pretty, right? But and the surface lots, again, not as pretty, but at least there's not structural and liability issues of, if there's a major storm and a lot of water gets in, then we're paying extra money. So that is kind of where I try to estimate that, and I have numbers here so I can look at, our plan is to raise the dues every 2 years by $5, no matter what. So that's just planned, and that's not because of anything other than just the general inflation. We can expect a lot of costs to just kind of go up over time. So we've been considering raising the dues kind of beyond that. So in 2020, we raised the dues $10 from where they were at $115. If we raise it again, another, say another $10, so that would make the dues 20 or 135 in 2021, and then say raised another 5 after that, and then say we fixed it at that point, I can drag this down. We can see how much that helps us over on our final line. We're still running a pretty big deficit up to that point. So there's other things that we could do. We can continue to raise those higher. We could try to funnel, like right now we have some money slated for landscaping upgrades. But again, it's kind of tricky because we don't know for sure if all of those roofs are going to be in that bad of shape. But so far, it seems like they very well may all be. And it's possible though we might get, maybe it won't be quite as drastic. I put it at 40% higher than the bid because that's the one sample that we have. But it, hopefully it won't be quite that bad. So it's a tricky thing. There's very strong opinions not to do a one-time assessment. In my mind, it is, it's if as long as we keep on raising the dues by, say, if we did $10 each year, then I think we can, definitely be able to cover that pretty handily, right? So if I go up $10 each year up to where we're $175 by 2024, now we've got, a pretty good cushion there. So finding that balance is something that we can talk about and discuss more. But it also, it's contingent on other things and kind of what we want to do beyond that. So if I just took a pattern of, 10, 5, let's say 35, 40, even if we're doing only $5 a year, in addition to our every other year, we're still in the hole there. So, and I think it really is kind of weathering the storm of these roofs, because other items that we have are going to be expensive afterwards, but not kind of up to that level. So we could also consider trying to extend this out further, but again, that's just pushing siding and everything else down further and also exposing us to liability. So one other thing I'll say, and then I just want to hear whatever people have to say about it, is that the landscaping upgrades, one approach I think that may make sense for this, we haven't actually included any concrete upgrades or any drainage upgrades at all in this plan, even though we're potentially running this kind of deficit by 2026, which is kind of scary. So with that in mind, one thing I was thinking about would be, rather than doing this quantity of landscaping upgrades, what might make sense would be to have a cycle where we plan to do whatever drainage work we think we need to, or just leave a budget to kind of address issues as we have. Plan to do concrete work, say like, just to put in some numbers here, like let's say we want to do 2025, we're going to do concrete upgrades to this unit. And then the following year, plan to do landscaping upgrades at the same place, so that we periodically go from unit to unit doing upgrades of the concrete, so that that's kind of finalized. And then the following year, look to do landscaping upgrades. And so it would be, some kind of cycle like this, where we go kind of from one to the next to the next. And that way, whatever landscaping is done is kind of, hopefully permanent and won't need to be altered later by concrete work that would maybe uproot everything that was done in a given year. But yeah, Dave and I have talked a lot. Love to hear what people are thinking, feedback, ideas.
I think all of your reasoning makes a lot of sense. That the priority of these damaged dormers and pushing back the parking lots.
I'm really grateful that this document exists. If you want a student to kind of teach this to and have someone else know the ins and outs of this, I would volunteer myself for that.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think, Jason, we're focusing on the money, and I think that's a gentle increase does it too. I remember one, I don't remember who it was, but somebody mentioning the shock to the insurance bill. And so if there was a way to roll that in, or maybe Alyssa has rolled that into somebody's account so that they have a higher monthly due, but that way their insurance bill is incorporated in, or maybe they asked about that or something too. But that may be a way in the future too. And if we just bump it up $45 or $50 or something, that it rolls in and increase with the insurance dues included in it, then that would be kind of a something that explains itself too. All right.
As a newbie here and stuff like that to the HOA, I will sit there and admit that it kind of was a shock to me to get that insurance bill. And on top of the HOA dues, I would think it would make more sense to just roll it into our monthly fees. I don't see really a problem with doing the HOA hike the way that you have it set up here in the spreadsheet. I do agree, though, that we should prioritize doing the roofs and the siding, well, mainly the roof and the dormers before we do the parking lot. And I say that because the liability from having damaged roofs and us filing claims against you guys would actually turn out to be greater than sitting there and having to go through and worry about the concrete looking a little off in places in the parking lot. So I would definitely say we need to prioritize doing the roofs and the dorms to make sure that, you know, people aren't going to start filing egregious claims to the HOA for damage to their personal property from the neglect of the HOA taking care of the roof. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes perfect sense. I think we're all in agreement on that. So that's good to hear. One thing I'm noticing here, we had slated some concrete upgrades, and you know that's $30,000 over 2 years. If we were to put those off and say, you know, we're going to wait until things are covered, maybe, you know, that's a long ways off. Maybe we get it favorable somewhere else, but just as one option, right? And this is something we can play around with. If I go and I put it down here for later on, that gets us, you know, out of the hole, and we've raised the dues, you know, $5 or $10.
You're a wizard.
Let's see here. And actually, I think that'll help. If we went up $5 each year up till the 40 rate, if I drag that down, you know, that's going to get us to a fairly favorable level. So, I mean, it's tricky though, right? It would be good to maybe identify and have some general budgets for just putting out the worst of issues. But I think that's probably the approach, is to push forward on the roofs and keep some money aside for just the most egregious issues. Dave, so in terms of our general repairs, we're a little bit favorable this year. What kind of miscellaneous extra funds do we have in the budget right now to be able to, you know, accommodate if there's a sidewalk that got really bad and we had to replace, you know, a $5,000 sidewalk or something?
You don't have anything set aside for an anomaly like that, especially something that really should probably be in the capital improvement plan. I mean,
Yeah.
You know, the hope is that if something like that happens, it's rare, and that we have enough favorability in that general maintenance to cover it.
Yeah, and I don't know, Dave, what's your impression? I mean, Dave and I haven't had a chance to actually talk about it since I tried to do this estimate of the roof cost of, you know, if an estimate is 28 and it came out to 39, do you think that's a reasonable approach of trying to estimate these roof costs?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's a difficult one to really nail down. I think what you've got here is, I think it's great for the few years that we've done, you know, and as we start digging into this, if we have to adjust, we have to adjust. But yeah, I think it's reasonable what you have given what we've seen. And
hopefully, yeah, hopefully if there's a surprise, it's a happy surprise, and then we have, you know, extra funds. Maybe this, you know, maybe 2024, we come in $20,000 under budget and we can do concrete upgrades instead. But Yeah, so yeah, based on what we have here, if we're making that estimate, I would suggest then that for 2021, we can just bump it from 125 to 130 and, be kind of looking to do the similar thing, $5, $10, and we can see as we do more roofs if we come in favorable or not. So that would be based on everything that we've seen and looked at so far. That would be my suggestion is go $5 higher in January, unless we have some concrete issues that we're, very concerned about in the immediate future. There's potentially a liability issue there, but I don't know if we have anything egregious enough. Dave, do you have any sense of how egregious the worst of the worst concrete situations are in terms of someone slipping from a unsound or unstable situation?
I think the biggest issue you're facing with concrete outside of some unsightly sidewalks, and that's more of a want versus a need in my opinion, but the biggest issue you're facing would be the front stoops. So the ground underneath was not compacted properly when they were built, and they weren't connected to the building in the proper way, is what I've been told by several vendors. So they're starting to angle in. So it contributes to some of the drainage problems. If that catches water, it pushes it towards the foundation. If there isn't enough drainage there to grab that water and route it around, you may have some issues there. So, we seal cracks where we can, but that's your biggest concrete issue you're facing.
And when there's water damage, like what's the general range of like an average cost of needing to go into a unit if there is something where water gets in?
So whenever a unit leaks, assuming it's something, rain from the outside and not a pipe inside, our reaction is, you've got $100 to $150 for emergency response from my team to go out there, coordinate a dry out with Indiana Pro Clean. Indiana Pro Clean will come out. I'd say you're anywhere between $300 and $700 to properly dry that out. So, remove water, dehumidifiers, air movers for a few days. The reaction we have also is, troubleshoot as best we can. Is there a clogged gutter? Was there a windstorm that put a bunch of debris in that gutter? Can we clear that? Do we need to put one of those ugly black corrugated pipes from the downspout if did something clog in the underground drainage? So all of that happens. So I'd say you're at 1,000 to 1,500 ish per occurrence. I think that's a good ballpark.
And what do we spend? What does it cost to clean all of the gutters in 1 year?
Oh gosh.
Or like one unit, like of 6.
Yeah, hold on, I have that.
Because that's one thing. Ian has had experience with some of the water thing. One thought that I have is if we would boost our budget a little bit on cleaning out the areas that are the most likely to have issues with the gutter spilling and having water leaking in, that's
Right.
something that we could maybe with a couple $1,000s do that often enough to stay ahead of those problems and avoid that issue, and plan that the more substantial upgrades can happen later on.
Yeah, there's no doubt that it helps. One of the problems you have in Indiana is, man, when it rains, it rains. I don't care if you have a foot gutter. I mean, that it just can't take that much square footage and jam that much water into there. But there's no doubt you're right. I mean, keeping up on some trouble areas is not a bad idea at all. So you set aside $3,000 a year to clean. So if you increase that, maybe an extra 1,500 or so, and maybe we try to do a preventative plan. I don't know how, what form that would take. Obviously spring would get more attention, and then fall would get more attention. The summer, unless it's a windstorm, maybe, would maybe get a little bit less.
Jason and Dave, I have a question. When the new roofs and gutters and dormers are installed, are you guys doing anything with doing like the preventative gutters that have like the leaf guard to at least try to help shield out the debris from getting into the gutters, so that way they don't necessarily need a complete deep cleaning all the time?
Gutter guards have been thrown around by this board and other boards that I manage year over year. I don't have one that's gone with them. You know, gutter guards are, you've got GCs and vendors that say they're worthless. You know, they get clogged, most get clogged with more debris and the water just shoots over top of them and you have the same problem as you would normally. Some say they're amazing. You know, if you get one where you need to clean debris out, you're going to have, it's very, very difficult. Some of the like little helicopter pedals or pine needles, if you get a certain kind of gutter, it's going to get clogged and you're going to need to clean that out. And it's 5 times as labor intensive as cleaning the gutters are. So I don't have a dog in the race. So, you know, I'm indifferent. It's been talked about, but no, gutter guards have not been put on. We increase the size of and put new gutters on that are a bigger size, a 6-inch. But no gutter guards have ever been put on. It's been discussed, but hasn't happened.
Or even like down at the downspout of it and stuff like that, putting some sort of like little fencing on the bottom portion to being able to keep out the chipmunks and the squirrels from climbing up into there and creating nests, which can also clog those. Has that ever been considered?
I'm not sure if that has. I don't recall it.
We are trying to trim the trees so that we don't have trees overhanging and filling them full of leaves. That's a different line of attack.
Yeah, there's this, we had a document done, a survey done to kind of evaluate the state of the trees in the community. And a lot of the issues have been with it. We've talked about potentially doing gutter guards to like on the roofs that are most susceptible. But that's really something that, yeah, there's been a lot of discussion and we've tried to look at. I think for the most part, what we've tried to do is identify the major issues and try to, you know, react as we're identifying things. Because one thing that happened originally, there was this massive drainage project plan. It was to be over the entire complex and it was to address a lot of leaking into the units. It turns out that that was actually not what was causing the problem. It was actually the dormer issue. And some of the roof issues that was causing all of the leaking. And so we thought we had there was a plan in place, but it wasn't actually going to be addressing the problem. So at this point, we really are kind of in a mode of identifying clear fires and trying to address those directly. And so if we had evidence of, that there was gutters being clogged by squirrels and chipmunks and such, that's something, a direction we could potentially look at. But it's kind of, we're trying to go based on the evidence that we've seen so far, I would say. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that could be done, but at the moment we're, trying to identify the things that are the most clear problems and put our funds towards that. We only have Dave here for a couple more minutes, so I just want to bring up some things here for him to be able to comment on. I'll try to take a quick stab at it and then let him fill in kind of over top. So the issue with the homeless, Dave, were you here at all the discussion before the meeting started today?
No, I wasn't. I turned my computer on and then had to run into the other office.
Sure, no problem. So basically, so we're talking with Jennifer. So got some screenshots of identifying some things. So this is the back dumpster. This is 501. So Jennifer's here at 505, and she said that there's a couple homeless camps here and here, and she thinks they're on our actual property. And then I'm not sure where the property line is, but also in this wooded area, just north of the dumpster to the northeast in here. And also apparently there's enough of an overgrowth right next to the dumpster that there's actually been people in there. And a resident here right next to there actually doesn't feel safe going to that dumpster because people can be in there and apparently are aggressive. Or so that's what Jennifer has been explaining. So she said too that there's been spray painting on this 501 unit, and apparently something new has been spray painted on it every day since Monday, and she said that somebody had filed a report to presumably Tempo, but I don't know if you had any information or updates on that, or know about the nature of the property line, or what you would recommend to try to explore options here.
Mike has cleaned a few areas in the community of spray paint. It's spray painted over the next day. So we're continuing to do that. But I mean, that's all of Bloomington at this point. My office building gets it every day. I don't really know what to say. The off-duty cops know about it. They do the best they can. You know, man, what do you say without launching into a 5-hour talk about everything? I don't really know what to say. I mean, the whole city's struggling with homeless. The whole city's struggling with crime surrounding the homeless. And on top of all of that, so a lot of the spray painting generally isn't done by homeless. It's done by a different kind of caliber human. So, I mean, when we get them, we send maintenance out and we clean it, but it's nonstop. So I actually just sent you an email. Get those pictures to me. I'll send them to our off duty, and we'll make sure they get back there and hammer those areas as best they can. But I don't know what to say about that. Everybody's struggling in certain areas. I certainly am in my office building here.
Gotcha. Thanks. Yeah, it's always difficult. But yeah, in terms of, so we had discussed once before, Dave, how there's a commune of some type down here, but it's entirely off of our property.
Yes.
What legal grounds, or what options do we have if they're actually within the Timberridge limits? Like if there's a homeless area, like you said, you can send the off-duty officers there. Like what kind of options do we have?
Yeah, they can remove them. It's private property, so they can remove them, officially trespass them. They're put on a list. It's put into the system. If you see them again, they can be ticketed. Generally, the concern isn't too high, but that's what you can do. You know, have them removed. But we need to rely on folks in the community to call 911. You know, no board member, no owner, resident, or renter, or Tempo employee, or anybody that's not law enforcement should go do that. That's a job for law enforcement. That's a violation of you know, a law, trespassing, but that's what they do. They'd remove them, physically remove them. You know, whether they take all their trash and stuff, probably not. So you know, we'd have to go in after. But yeah, they'd remove them, escort them off. If they refuse, they can take them to jail, and then put them on a trespass list and kind of officially advise them that the property owner, which is the owners represented by the board, officially trespasses them.
Hey, Jason, my thoughts on this too are making a more aggressive effort at our known transient entrances, whether by car, bike, pedestrian, all of them. I mean, one idea is just fundamentally having a sign. I mean, if you think of just one person, if somebody bought our property and demoed all the units and built a mansion right there, they would have no trespassing signs up. They would still have some transient issues. They'd still have spray paint issues. So, you know, starting with some signage, and then, you know, just having that mindset of ownership. I mean, when you see somebody in the dumpster or spray painting or damaging something, I mean, we've just got to keep speaking up like it's our own property, because it is. And that's something I'd be in favor of, is doing an effort around, you know, private property, no trespassing, resident and their guests only, or, you know, some verbiage like that that's just really clearly stated at all the entrances would be a start.
And Joel, Jason, and Dave, because of my position out at IU, if you guys want to give me the verbiage that you want for the signs, or we want to sit there and come to a vote on the verbiage, I'll get the signs made up through work, so it won't cost the HOA a dime.
Cool. So we've had some signs that are up and around, but yeah, if you have a means of producing the signs that are the durable ones, that's definitely something that could be valuable. Save us a little bit of money. Save Dave some time. So yeah, we can look into that. I don't know what I think. Yeah, I think Dave, that would fall under the budget under supplies. Whenever we do that through you, I don't think that's something you're normally providing free of charge, right?
No, yeah, no, that comes out of, you know, I mean, you can slot it in a few different jail accounts, but correct, you all pay for those signs.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, awesome. Thanks for offering that, Jennifer. We can explore that further. Dave, you probably have to head out about now. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Yep. All right. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
All right. Okay. So yeah. So the homeless issue. Hopefully we can do that. I'm curious enough and feel safe enough walking around during daylight that I'll probably just take a quick cursory walk around to see what I can see, but just because I'm curious and maybe a little crazy, but we'll see. In terms of the people parking in marked parking spots that don't belong to them, so this has been a issue that I've experienced. I think other people have experienced firsthand. We have made it extremely explicit by making the reserved parking spots marked with red background and white color to try to make that very transparent. If someone parks in a spot that is not theirs, they can call Tempo to have it towed. So Jennifer, as far as that concern goes, if there's people that are parking in spots that do not belong to them, that's clearly marked with the house number, and the person who house it actually is sees that there's a car there, you know, I sometimes try to be a little bit patient and put a note on, but if it's a recurring issue, you know, I would say go ahead and call Tempo, and they can have it towed. So that's.
I would do the note first as well. I've had to do that.
And can we make it part of the communication to owners to ask them to tell their renters that that's a reserved spot and they'll be towed? I mean, like I tell my renters very explicitly, do not park in somebody else's reserved spot. But I bet most owners, if we're half rentals, I bet they never hear that message.
I can add that to the agenda for the town hall.
Yeah, town hall,
Yeah.
and then also maybe in the annual mailing, we could put that out as well.
I think one of the other things is just, you know, the owners, see, I'm an owner that lives here, is one of the things that the tenants don't realize is that there's 7 or 8 different families living in one of these, and each member has their own vehicle. So not only are they taking up their reserve spot, they're taking up the one guest spot next to the reserve spot and other reserve spots and the rest of the guest parking all in front of that unit just because they have 7 or 8 cars. I can tell you, like 507, that's right next door to me, they're that way.
Yeah. So I mean, it simply put, the complex actually, a lot of people were under the impression that they got 2 parking spots per unit. There actually aren't enough parking spots for 2 for each unit. So that's why there's only 1 for each individual unit. So in terms of enforcing what we have in place, someone could theoretically have 7 vehicles parked and they could park on a whole bunch of guest spots. It would be kind of obnoxious, but at the present moment, we'd have nothing to say that they can't do that. It seems very uncourteous, but that at this point, the only thing we can really do is enforce people parking in spots that are truly reserved. Obviously, like having a short conversation and asking people, hey, can you park in one of the guest centers so that you're not taking up all the spots could be done. But yeah, I think in terms of what we have and what we can enforce, it's very simple. It's if there's someone in a reserve that's not theirs, try to communicate with them. If they refuse, call Tempo and have it towed. And I would encourage you to just forward that message on to anyone else that you're hearing complaints from or talking with. So, okay, so yeah, there was, it's actually next door neighbor. He requested having a dog post put in by the big pine tree by the creek. I'll talk with him about that so I know exactly where he means. I'm not sure exactly what he has in mind, but I'll put that for offline chat at another point.
My vote on that one is, sorry, is a, just that we had a new one put in and we already have 3 of them, would,
Okay,
is my opinion.
okay. So yeah, maybe make that in the minutes. Oh, we got Michael.
Hey there.
Hi there.
I was working on a paper and I completely forgot about this meeting.
Oh, okay.
It
Sorry.
happens. How you doing, Michael?
Oh, I'm hanging in there, trying to figure out the Kaltura media function in Canvas.
Canvas is always a good time.
Oh yeah, loads of fun. How are you all?
We're doing well. We got through. Dave just left us, but we kind of talked about the long range plan extensively. I'm actually
Okay.
recording this meeting, so I'll be able to share that if you want to review it. And Ian's been taking notes for us.
Okay,
so
great.
far, so
All right, thanks. Sorry for my inattentiveness here.
just glad to see you. So glad to see you make it. Okay, cool. So I was going to go over the lighting. I think somewhere along the lines there might have been a trade-off with tempo where one person was supposed to do something, or there was someone didn't know about something. But basically, I looked into it because I hadn't heard an update in a long time, and we had approved back in December to try to install these cheap solar lights on buildings, and Joel had done some legwork to identify locations. So that has been sent on and it should be done. I'm not sure exactly when, but they have the authorization and we've said, go ahead and do it. It's not a lot of money and it could actually help lighten up the place at night. So wanted to give that brief update. There's 9 going in, the ones that were the highest priority from Joel's list.
So we don't, can I just ask a quick question? We don't yet know the status of the installation, right?
So this was just this past week. So I presume that they're either being ordered or have already been ordered, and then they'll go to be installed. So
Okay,
but
great.
that, I don't have any update further than like I clarified exactly what we wanted and said make it happen, that it's been approved
Okay.
and everything. So
Great,
that should be coming soon, hopefully.
great.
And then the rodent, some of you are aware of the rodent issue. We allowed them to do some live trapping, some kind of extra work to get on top of things. That has come underway, but they have 159 bait blocks out there. You've probably seen them on side of buildings if you walk around much at all. So those are still, they were still all of the baits were taken. So it's something they're going to continue to use, and they're going to check again, I guess, in September. So it's better than it was, but it's still underway. Any questions about that at all?
No.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm going to hand it over to Ian to talk a little bit about upcoming plans for the town hall, and I'll go ahead and put one note here that I would like to try to schedule it today. Maybe Ian's already got a plan for that, but we'll make sure that happens so that we know what to expect.
All right, thanks, Jason. Yeah, if you guys can see the screen, I've just got a kind of a rough draft for an agenda for the town hall. So the platform will be Zoom. We'll have to get that email out to the owners and make sure that we schedule the Zoom meeting ahead of time. Jason, do you want to take that item of actually creating the link for the Zoom bridge?
Yep, I can make a link for the Zoom, and we want to make this open to the community too. So maybe we should do some flyers as well on boards. I can put a tiny URL to make it easy for people to just type in and join.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Flyers and email. Let's see. Yeah,
Jason, if you want help with distributing flyers or hanging them up, let me know. I'll be glad to help you out with even printing them off and stuff.
Okay, awesome. Will do.
all right, so we'll market that event a little bit and raise awareness. And I was thinking the structure would be similar to a board meeting, so we'd kind of have a meet the board moment where we'd introduce ourselves like we did today and talk about our experience at Timber Ridge. I think sort of a higher level budget overview would be good. It'd be kind of a good way to ease folks into the notice that we're going to increase HOA fees. maybe not get into all the nuts and bolts and, try to brighten the presentation while still being transparent. And then we follow up with the news that we will be increasing HOA fees. And then on the other side of that, I thought it'd be good for me to kind of show a sales overview, so I can show some sales within the last year, just to show that the increased HOA fees are leading to increased equity in people's properties. So just that those dollars are going, back in their own pockets to an extent. Then we can go into a community concerns section. I didn't know if anyone wanted to lead that discussion, but I think we can all agree, like, we've got the external individuals coming into the community and sort of squatting. We got the needle issue. Those are kind of one and the same. Trash, dumping heavy items, things like that.
Ian, I can help with that one. You can sign me up for that one, Joel.
Cool. I wanted to say your name, but I didn't want to put you on the hook, man. But you're all right. Cool. I appreciate it. All right. And then just sort of an open forum, but I think we should define a clear start and end time for the meeting, because that open forum could last hours if we let it. And then I thought it'd be cool if we use some HOA dollars just to do a little raffle for those people who join, and then maybe 1 or 2 people can get a prize just for showing up. Yeah. So what do you guys think about that for the town hall overall?
Looks good to me.
Yeah, it sounds great. I will say, I don't know if Jennifer and I were talking a little bit before the meeting. She was mentioning that she had been involved in part of a neighborhood watch in the previous community where she was at that was very successful. And I don't know if the scale of Timberidge and where she was, I don't know if there's like a critical mass thing that might be difficult to get it to sustain, but I think a town hall would be an ideal platform to voice this as an option and to see if there's interest. So Jennifer, if that's something you're interested in, we could try to slot some time during that town hall if you wanted to put together a plan and try to get people involved.
Definitely. I'll get that drawn up and stuff like that over the weekend and send out to you probably Monday, Tuesday-ish.
Perfect. Great.
Thank you.
Can we encourage at that time people putting alarms on bikes that are stored outside, and also potentially getting doorbell cameras? Because if we have a critical mass of those, I think it helps protect all the buildings.
I will say that I did put a camera out on mine, so there is at least security and stuff. That was one of the things that helped me out this week. Actually, Saturday night when I called BPD out on people that were doing nasty things out in the parking lot.
So this task force, we got to be careful. We talked about liability earlier, right? We don't want to be sending people out into confrontational situations.
Right. This would just be a watch.
Cool.
Group,
okay, cool.
as I understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah, it's just a matter of showing the way that it worked in the community that I lived in up in Indianapolis. Is it was just enough for them to see, hey, there's people actually paying attention and out here strolling around, taking walks, and enforcing the rules of no trespassing. We don't want looters. We don't want rioters. We don't want vagrants. We want to keep our community clean from drugs, disease, needles, crime, that whole type of thing. And the more that they saw our presence out there, the more that we got rid of that type of behavior.
Nice.
Hey, Jennifer, this is Michael. I'm the late comer to this meeting. Can I ask you? Hi. Can I ask you a question? Did you guys in that HOA? Did you guys put up signs saying that this was a community watch neighborhood or anything like that?
We were not an HOA type of community up there and stuff like that, but we did partner with the Indianapolis Metro Police Department, who gave us signs saying that this was a community watch neighborhood.
Oh.
Bloomington Police Department and IUPD are willing to work with me and give me the signs for free if we have the go-ahead to put up that this is a crime watch neighborhood.
Definitely.
Oh, man, that's great.
Yeah.
We get
So
badges.
it's just a matter of, you guys need to tell me if it's okay. I will get the signs. I will go out there with a post hole digger and I will install them throughout the community. It won't be a charge.
Wow.
Cool.
All right. Well, yeah, that's good stuff. We should definitely talk about that at the town hall.
Yeah.
So I've got sort of a list of action items for the town hall there. And I suppose I could send out an email or
Yeah.
You normally send out the action items after the meeting, right?
I usually do. Yeah. Usually at the end of the meeting, I make a note of what they are and then try to remind people. So for instance, this is what we had for last time. So, oh yeah, Michael, did you end up finding out anything about deck replacements? We actually got an estimate from Dave. So if you didn't, it's not a problem.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I am I'm such a bad board member. I've gotten overwhelmed with stuff. So no, I did not. I can do that though if you still want me to.
I think it's okay because Dave gave us an estimate looking probably around $500 to just do the actual deck boards that you walk on replaced.
Okay.
And based on the estimates, I think we have a reasonable plan for doing that. So
Really? 500 that's per deck?
Yep.
Wow.
Well, this is with the synthetic stuff, right? So not just,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
That's just the flooring. That's not
Right.
any of the railing or any of the other components.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, and we could pause here I can update some of the action items. I'll go ahead and put up a follow-up for myself on lighting status.
Hey, Jason, as you're doing that, I got a 5 o'clock call, so I just got a couple little things, and then
Yeah.
I'll step out.
Okay.
So while you're typing that up, I found out that the Davis Academy of Music is actually within our fence line. So one of the owners or renters here runs the Davis Academy of Music out of their home here, and I have mentioned before about commercial opportunities, and so I thought maybe as another fundraising way or taxation or something, if there was a way for other commercial entities to purchase our townhomes to to have a restaurant or a coffee shop or a barber shop or whatever they wanted to use it for, if they could be charged a higher rate, if we're a commercial entity, because you're making money out of it. It's not just for a home. Anyway, that's just an idea that I had on that. But that was the only thought. I don't have a good answer or solution now, but I can look into more of the planning permissions from the city or zoning to see if that's even feasible. But I don't think they're alone. There's probably other people that run their business out of their home as well here. So just kind of making that something that we actually encourage, but there's a legal squared away way to do that. But,
So do you want to email Dave to do a follow-up on exploring what we can do there?
I can try to do that. And then
Okay.
the other one I had just for Jennifer, her motivation and her insight. I don't know if we have room on the board right now for her, or if there's a way to make her an ad hoc member or something just to welcome her on board, because I really like her enthusiasm and stuff. So I don't remember if we actually had a spot open still or not, but otherwise we can try to get her in on January.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't heard from Ming all year. I don't know if I can reach out to him and see what he feels. I'm not sure about changing mid-year or not, but I don't see any reason that Jennifer can't be just as involved as anyone else. And then, yeah, next year, plan to join the board if she wants to, hopefully.
If she qualifies. She's got to meet her strict requirements.
Yeah.
All right, I'll sign off here in about 5 minutes or so, but I'll hang on.
Okay, thanks.
My one question with what Joel was talking about, do we think it's a good idea to encourage some of the units in Timber Ridge to be commercial establishments? I mean, I guess I'm not sure if city code would allow it, but beyond that, I guess I'm a bit afraid that that would sort of undercut the residential nature of Timber Ridge.
It's in our bylaws that you cannot run a business out of your house in here. And I'm not sure we have the parking. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Parking
we are
would be-
zoned resident. I don't think that's gonna fly, but
Yeah.
I'm sure people do it just because
Right.
it
I
happens.
know,
but-
there's a difference though between if they're actually running as an academy, which would be classified as a school, or if they're, which would still be falling underneath the commercial city zoning, which this is classified as basically residential. So that wouldn't be allowed. Or if they are doing like musical tutoring, that is completely different. And that would be no different than, you know, saying that maybe you're a painter and you make pretty objects on canvas type thing.
Right. Or giving piano lessons one
Right.
person at a time in your home.
Right. But if you're doing an academy, that would mean you are hosting multiple students at one point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it sounds like a question for the city and for the zoning department.
Yeah, I mean, currently it's illegal according to our bylaws, which specifically say no commercial activity out of your house.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know exactly, yeah, how we'll handle that. I think Joel was looking at it from a perspective of, is there a way we can help our community out financially and add value to it?
Right,
But
increase
it's
income.
tricky. It's tricky if we open that can of worms, because if businesses that we don't want move in, you know, and is there a tribunal that says a business can move in? Or I don't know. It seems.
Well, something that we could certainly do is if we find out that their operation is legal, then we could certainly promote them at town halls and just kind of have like a community spotlight for
Yeah.
things going on in the community.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we can look into where things stand, and Joel, maybe you can find out more about the exact classification of that individual's school or whatever.
Yeah, I'll look more into it. I think this is a little bit more complicated than I was realizing too. So I do appreciate your feedback, everyone. So I'll take it to kind of think about it and look into the laws and regulations and the impacts too. I mean, bringing in more traffic and more strangers may be counterintuitive to what we're trying to do.
Okay.
All right, Jason, I'm going to head out here, but thanks everybody.
Thanks a bunch, Joel.
Thanks, Joel. See you later.
Bye.
Okay. Cool. So I know from last time, Katie and I will work on drafting a letter about the dues raise. We got plenty of time to get that ready still. And so I was just trying to write down everything we had so far and then tell me if we're missing anything. So Jennifer, you said you'd help me with flyers for the town hall, work on the neighborhood watch plan, and potentially signs as well. Anything else?
Do you want just the signs for the community watch, or do you want signs for the community watch and the no loitering type signs for like the dumpster neighborhood area to kind of warn them about
private
trespassing?
property, no trespassing.
Right.
Yeah, so we can look into both of those. So I'll say potential signs. So one would be for no trespassing, and
no loitering.
Yeah, no resistance, loitering, and neighborhood watch.
I don't
So-
know about loitering because the neighbors loiter, like hanging out with each other. So I would just say private property, no trespassing. That means if
Yeah.
you don't live here, you can't loiter.
Yeah, and we can send an email around with what we come up with, and people can help wordsmith it and figure out what all we want to put on it. So
Okay.
cool. All right, am I missing any other action items we have so far that people are planning to follow up on?
I'm working on a list of, since we're chopping down trees, of small, pretty trees to replace what we're taking out. Things that aren't going to get big enough to overhang the roofs,
Mhm.
and when those need to be planted, so that we have something to take to
Okay.
landscaper for when we after we chop down a bunch of stuff.
Sounds good.
Joel has an action item of doing the community outreach section of the town hall.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Michelle, on that tree list, make sure you put red buds on there.
Like red buds, okay.
Yeah, I'm really interested in native species like that.
Okay. Those qualify as small, pretty trees.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. All right. Ian, is there anything else on the town hall other than picking a time and date?
No, doing the raffle. So
Oh,
do you
raffle.
guys agree that's a good idea? And if so, do you want to just give me a budget and I can work on some prizes?
Sure.
I'm indifferent. If you guys think that's a waste of money, then that's cool. If you think it's a cool idea, then I'll move forward with it.
I like it just because if we promote it that way, then we might get more interest.
I agree.
What do people think? Is $50, maybe 10 gift cards or something?
Yeah.
Cool.
That
How does-
would work for me, or even putting up like a little gift basket of items that you can find at like the dollar store type thing. I mean, it doesn't matter. But
All right.
definitely throwing an incentive out there does help to gain attendance.
All right, I'll come up with a few ideas.
Cool.
So my second item there was just talk about the kind of the structure and the frequency of our HOA meetings. My personal opinion is I would rather have more frequent, shorter meetings rather than less frequent, longer meetings. I just wanted to see what you guys thought about that.
I agree.
Like how frequent?
I'm all for like a bi-weekly hour-long meeting.
Yeah, or even monthly. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, like a bi-weekly or a monthly hour-long meeting.
So I'll say this. I think that the format, which has traditionally been, as long as I've been around, was a 2-hour meeting 4 times a year. I think there's enough projects going on that I do agree that doing it more frequently. And I think the fact that we're doing it on Zoom makes it a lot more manageable, because especially when we've had, for a number of years, Don Payton was the president. He lived out of town. He had to basically take up a whole weekend to come in for our meetings, and sometimes would call in. But certainly if we're doing Zoom meetings, I think doing more regular meetings would be a very reasonable thing to do. I think sometimes having 2 hours, we all, in the past, we have really needed 2 hours sometimes to get through a lot of things, but I agree that if we stay shorter meetings more frequently, it could be better. I think if that's the case, I will lean on some other people to, make agendas and kind of run the meetings, because there is a fair amount of legwork I usually do in getting these prepped. But I have the template. I'm happy to share that with people. So as long as there's other people that are willing to help organize the meetings, I don't know that I can, going from 4 to 8 meetings a year, with all that entails kind of getting prepped. I don't know if that's something that I would just jump in without thinking about it too hard. But if other people are willing to, head up every other meeting or something like that, then I think I'd be very open to that.
Jason, I'll help.
Okay.
What do you think about an hour once a month? You think that would maybe cover it?
That works for me.
I like the hour once a month. maybe have a dedicated, like, first Friday of every month type ordeal even. So that way we know that they're consistent.
Yeah,
Right, except not the first Friday,
About Monday.
because I'm about to go someplace because I have a first Friday thing.
yeah, we'll have to figure out schedules. We can, yeah, and things may shift for people throughout the year. So scheduling is also something that I usually do and try to run. That's the other reason. And I think, again, though, with Zoom, it is easier to find compatible times because people don't have to travel. So yeah, I'm very open to this. Yeah, a different approach of things. As long as we're doing Zoom meetings, yeah, it doesn't have to be a huge deal. Do we have, since we have the people we have now, would we want to aim for something on weekdays or weekends, what do you think?
Monday through Thursday is better for me.
Me too.
I'm starting my job in like a week, so I'm not sure what my schedule is like, but I probably can only do evenings on weekdays. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I'm flexible.
Likewise, evenings on weekdays are best for me.
Okay.
Otherwise, weekends are fine though.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we can try running on, yeah, is Monday evenings. Does that work for people?
Yeah.
Works for me.
Probably.
Good for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean,
Maybe.
we need a town hall date, don't we?
We
Did
do.
we skip over that?
Yeah, we have not done that yet. That's the last thing to do other than just, yeah, kind of open discussion. So
Okay.
so yeah, we can do that in conjunction. So would we want to meet again before the town hall?
I don't think we really need to meet again before the town hall. Maybe we could all be included on email communication, especially for like the action items.
Right.
You know, my section for the community watch group to get that started. And then, you know, just kind of move forward from there.
I'm trying to remember, does anyone have a good intuition for when we did the town halls before and when we should do them this fall?
The last time we did one was like around Halloween, I think,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. We were supposed to do one in the spring, but then that didn't happen because COVID.
Right.
What about Thursday, October 1st?
I think we should do it before then, especially with the homeless situation and the issue with them going through the trash and stuff. We need to get that started and corrected well before October.
Yeah, hopefully. I think what usually we're trying to do is do it after people have had a chance to move in, if they're coming in, like students for fall classes. When does the school year start?
August 17th is their last move-in date because classes start on the 24th.
Okay.
About Tuesday, September 1st.
That works for me.
That'll be perfect.
So that's a Tuesday. I guess it doesn't, since we're not doing it in person, I guess it doesn't matter as much.
We should probably do it, you know, sometime after about 5:30, especially if we want to be able to get students that are tenants here involved. Because the grad students aren't going to get released from work until 5.
I'm gonna do 5:30 to 7.
5:30 to 7, 5:30 to 7:30. I mean, however long we think we need to have the community-wide town hall for.
I feel like if that's right after work and like during dinner time, it might be harder to get people to join. But I don't know, maybe not.
Well, you want to do it on Sunday, Sunday night, Sunday the 6th?
That's
No,
Labor Day weekend.
I do not want to meet on Sunday evenings.
Okay.
Because I'm a PBS addict on Sunday evenings.
Okay.
What
Sorry.
about Friday, August 28th? I know that that's only 3 weeks, but that's still enough time to advertise it and get done what we need to get done. And students will have been through their first week of classes at that point in time.
That works for me.
That works for me.
And that also doesn't mean that we're pushing into holiday weekends and all that other kind of stuff.
So we're thinking, proposing Friday the 28th, and then we want to give enough time for people to, get home maybe and not be rushing right into it. So like
About 6 to 8.
6 to 8, okay.
Friday night.
Mm,
Yeah.
if it was another day of the week, maybe. I feel
Yeah,
like a Friday, people don't.
About
I don't
Thursday.
know. Maybe not.
The
With
27th.
COVID going on, they shouldn't be doing anything anyways. Like students have been told.
They shouldn't, but I mean, like people still like.
I
Welcome
would
to
rather do
Bloomington.
Thursday. Friday
Okay,
night's a
why don't
little.
we make it Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday would be
27th.
better.
6 to 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
August 27th.
Yeah.
I'm writing that one down too.
I just put it in my Outlook calendar.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that seems like a good plan. Okay. So if we want to move to this 1 hour once a month, do we want to do like the first, let's see, want to do the first Monday of each month?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we'd have a follow-up that, Monday the 3rd in September, we'd have maybe some discussion of how the town hall went and can kind of make plans from there.
And what time?
Monday the 7th, you mean? That would be Labor Day.
So yeah, that would be
Are you talking about August or September?
September.
Okay.
So would you want to do the first Tuesday?
Yeah, that is a holiday.
Right.
Because the first Tuesday would be September 1st.
Yeah, at least for my schedule, Mondays will work better because I will be in Terre Haute Tuesday through Thursdays this fall. So at least for me, I would prefer with the Monday. But if it's we want to do the first non-holiday one, we could to make it a standard, and then we don't ever schedule it on a holiday Monday. Or we could do it as a one-off one time. I just know I'll tend to be less ready to.
So the 14th for September, but ever after the first Monday, if it's not a holiday.
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay.
going to suggest.
That sounds good. So what
then
time
what?
y'all like?
I like the 5:30 to 6:30 thing.
Trying to think. Yeah, is that tight for anybody?
I'm not sure if I'm going to be working. I'm working at Crane, and I don't know if I'm going to be there in person or online yet. So if I'm driving, I probably won't be able to make it, but that's okay because I usually just can get the notes and see what's going on. I don't do a lot. So
I
Well,
think
we can flex it if needed at some
yeah,
point.
we'll figure it out. I'm starting in like a week, so we'll find out.
I'm thinking 6 might be safer just in general, as people come and go. 6 to 7.
That
That'll
sounds
work.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, I can always jump on late too if I have to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and say September 14th, 6 to 7 p.m. For the next meeting.
Sounds good.
My last item is my fiance and I bought a house, so I'm gonna be moving out of my condo, but I'm gonna rent it out to my brother and one of my good friends, starting here shortly, and they're both good guys. So
Okay. Well, congratulations, Ian. That's great. Hope they
Thank you.
got a real good deal.
yeah, thank you. That's all I had for today, though.
Okay. Cool. I think, let's see, unless we need to add any more any more items? Yeah, I'll do an email reminder of the dates for the meetings. Yeah, everyone else just take a look at this. Do we have anything we're missing here? That look at you and yourself individually, make sure I have things and I can remind you if you haven't done them. Oh, yeah, Ian, share your minutes with me and I'll make sure they're on Drive. Or you can just put them in the folder if you know how to do it.
All right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if anyone has any, we can certainly finish early. But if anyone else has anything they would like to discuss while we are all present, open floor.
I'm good.
I'm good here. Thank you all for letting me join in.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Jennifer.
You.
Yeah.
And don't be strangers. If you walk past when I'm sitting outside, you can say hi. I won't bite.
Where do you live?
I'm in 505. I'm back here by where the places have been spray painted and graffitied over the past week now.
Ah,
Keep your eyes peeled and call 911 if you see that again.
I've been doing that. I also have I have an outdoor camera, so I've been catching people that don't belong and turning the videos over to my buddies that work on BPD and IUPD to try to help out the best that I can with that.
Yeah, that is like really all we know to do at this point. So yeah, just keep doing it. And if it's documented, you know, repeat offenders, I think that might give them more leverage. So
yeah.
that's all we can do for now, I think.
Well, I'm going to get off of here mainly because my stomach is growling. So I will talk to y'all soon, okay?
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot, Jennifer.
Thanks.
Good
Thanks.
night, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep. See you, everybody.
See
Bye.
you.